$192 million. That is the combined penalty the Department of Transportation imposed on 4 of the largest passenger airlines in the United States between December of 2023 and January of 2025. 4 enforcement actions in a single 14-month window. The largest concentration of airline consumer protection penalties in modern American aviation. Most Americans who flew on those airlines in that same period had no idea. They booked the cheapest fare, paid the baggage fee, hoped for the best. They were not told the carrier they were flying had been formally cited by the federal agency that oversees consumer protection in air travel. Today, we are going through 5 United States airlines whose documented enforcement record gives you reasons to look more carefully before you book, and 5 that have earned the trust those other airlines have been trading on. No brand on this list paid us. This is purely our research. Welcome to the Hidden Boarding Pass. Avoid number 5, Southwest Airlines. The first name on this list is the same airline that has ranked first in the J.D. Power North America Airline Satisfaction Study for 4 consecutive years. Southwest scored 694 in the 2025 economy segment, the highest in the entire study. That ranking is the context. On December 18, 2023, the Department of Transportation issued the largest consumer protection penalty in its history against Southwest, $140 million. The penalty was for the December 2022 holiday meltdown, during which Southwest canceled approximately 16,900 flights and stranded more than 2 million passengers after the airline's crew scheduling system overloaded during a winter storm. 14 months later, on January 15, 2025, the Department of Transportation and the Department of Justice jointly sued Southwest in the United States District Court for the Northern District of California. The lawsuit cites 2 chronically delayed routes, Chicago Midway to Oakland and Baltimore to Cleveland, with 180 disrupted flights between April and August of 2022. The Bureau of Transportation Statistics determined Southwest was responsible for more than 90% of those disruptions. The case is active. For the Companion Pass loyalist who has renewed every year since 2017, the rankings and the enforcement record are not the same data. Avoid number 4, American Airlines. On October 23, 2024, the Department of Transportation announced a $50 million penalty against American Airlines for serious violations of laws protecting passengers with disabilities between 2019 and 2023. The penalty is 25 times larger than the department's previous largest fine in this category. The investigation documented unsafe physical assistance resulting in passenger injuries, undignified treatment of wheelchair users, repeated failures to provide prompt wheelchair assistance, and the mishandling of thousands of wheelchairs that were damaged or returned late. The penalty splits $25 million to the United States Treasury and $25 million credited for required investments in handling equipment and a system-wide wheelchair tagging system. American Airlines also ranked first among United States carriers in the 2025 AirHelp score with an overall 7.64. That ranking is real. The $50 million disability penalty is also real. Both describe the same airline. For the older traveler with limited mobility who has booked American for years because the carrier serves the largest number of routes from their nearest hub, the booking confirmation does not include the relevant federal enforcement record. Avoid number 3, JetBlue Airways. On January 3, 2025, the Department of Transportation issued the first ever enforcement action of its kind in the agency's history. A $2 million penalty against JetBlue for operating chronically delayed flights on 4 specific routes between June of 2022 and November of 2023. The department documented at least 145 delayed flights over 17 months. The routes are 3 from Fort Lauderdale, Florida, to Orlando to JFK in New York, and to Bradley International Airport near Hartford, Connecticut, and a 4th from New York to Raleigh, Durham. The penalty splits $1 million to the United States Treasury and $1 million in compensation for affected passengers, or for any future JetBlue flight disruption of 3 hours or more within the year following the order. JetBlue's written response was that the airline reached a settlement and that, in the company's words, accountability for reliable air travel also lies with the United States government, which operates the nation's air traffic control system. For the East Coast business traveler who has flown JetBlue from JFK or Fort Lauderdale every Monday for a decade, the mainline scheduling the Department of Transportation has now formally established as chronically delayed deserves more attention than the weekly loyalty email. Avoid number 2, Allegiant Air. Allegiant won the Skytrax 2025 World Airline Award for Best Low-Cost Airline in North America, the second consecutive year the carrier has held the title. Allegiant also posted the lowest cancellation rate of any major United States carrier in January of 2026 at 0.81%. Those facts are documented. The same airline is the subject of a Department of Transportation Office of Inspector General report titled FAA Needs to Improve its Oversight to Address Maintenance Issues Impacting Safety at Allegiant Air. The audit found Federal Aviation Administration inspectors had not consistently documented risks from 36 Allegiant in-flight engine shutdowns on the MD-80 fleet. In 2019, the Federal Aviation Administration proposed a $715,000 civil penalty against Allegiant after the airline operated an MD-88 on 28 passenger flights in April of 2018 without diagnosing an exhaust gas temperature exceedance, the maintenance manual required to be corrected first. The Skytrax recognition is for service quality. The Inspector General's report is for maintenance oversight. 2 different sets of measurements. For the snowbird who flies Allegiant once a year because no other airline serves their hometown airport directly, the trade-off between the fare and the federal maintenance oversight record is one the booking page does not surface. Avoid number 1, Frontier Airlines. For 3 consecutive years, Frontier has had the highest passenger complaint rate among the 10 largest United States airlines. The Public Interest Research Group's analysis of Department of Transportation data places Frontier's complaint ratio at 23.3 per 100,000 passengers, more than 10 points higher than the next worst carrier. 3 years, same airline, same position. In January of 2025, the Department of Transportation issued Consent Order 2025-1-2 against Frontier for chronically delayed flights. Flight 131 between St. Thomas and Orlando in August 2022. Flight 1563 between Atlanta and Phoenix from December 2022 through April 2023. Flights 1251 and 1043 between Orlando and Houston. The penalty was $650,000. That number is misleading on its own. Here is the more useful version. In April of 2026, the Department of Transportation removed the obligation for the second $325,000 payment, citing what the department called Frontier's pro-consumer initiatives. The effective penalty was cut in half. Frontier also finished last in the 2025 J.D. Power Study Economy and Basic Economy segment. For the family that booked Frontier to Orlando for spring break because it was $40 cheaper, the fare savings and the federal complaint data 3 years running are now on the public record. You have heard the 5 United States airlines whose documented records give you reasons to look more carefully. Now let us tell you about 5 that have earned the trust those airlines have been trading on. Subscribe to the Hidden Boarding Pass and hit the notification bell. Let us finish this. By number 5, United Airlines. In March of 2024, after a series of publicized incidents at United, the Federal Aviation Administration initiated an extensive evaluation of the airline's operational safety standards under its Certificate Holder Evaluation Program. The incidents included a Boeing 777 that lost a wheel on takeoff from San Francisco, a 737 MAX 8 that veered off the runway at Houston, an external panel detachment in flight, and an uncontained engine failure on a Boeing 787-9 departing Singapore that May. The audit lasted 7 months. On October 2, 2024, the Federal Aviation Administration reported that no significant safety issues had been identified at United. Temporary restrictions imposed during the audit on new aircraft deliveries and route expansions were lifted. The 2025 AirHelp score placed United second among United States carriers with a score of 7.54, ranked 13th globally. The on-time performance component was 7.4. The customer opinion score was 8.1. For the business traveler weighing American against United at the Houston or Chicago hub, the federal agency that oversees operating standards spent 7 months looking at United in 2024 and returned a conclusion of no significant safety issues. By number 4, Delta Airlines. The 2025 J.D. Power North America Airline Satisfaction Study placed Delta first in premium economy for the third consecutive year, score of 717, second in first and business class behind only JetBlue, and third in economy. At the 2025 Skytrax World Airline Awards in June, Delta won Best Airline Staff Service in North America. Delta's 2025 cancellation rate was 0.93%. That is one half of the Delta record. Here is the other half. On July 19, 2024, a software defect in CrowdStrike's Falcon platform produced a global Windows outage. Most United States carriers recovered within 24 to 48 hours. Delta did not. The airline canceled approximately 7,000 flights over the following 5 days, affecting more than 1.3 million passengers. The Department of Transportation classified the disruption as a controllable event, placing responsibility on the airline. Delta has since dropped from 1st to 6th in Department of Transportation reliability rankings. For the Sky Miles loyalist who has been flying Delta since the 1990s, both records are true. The airline that handled the worst single airline operational meltdown in modern American aviation history is also the J.D. Power #1 in premium economy for the third consecutive year. By number 3, JetBlue Mint. The same airline whose mainline coach product appeared on this avoid list also operates a premium cabin called Mint, and that product ranked first in the 2025 J.D. Power North America Airline Satisfaction Study, first and business class segment with a score of 738. That is the highest single score in any category of the entire 2025 study. J.D. Power specifically cited Mint's lie-flat seats and its dining experience. Mint is available on transcontinental routes from New York to the West Coast, on select Caribbean routes, and on transatlantic routes to London, Paris, Dublin, Amsterdam, and Edinburgh. Mint fares typically run below the domestic first-class fares offered by American, Delta, and United on the same coast-to-coast routes. Different product, different documented outcome. The same corporate parent that produced the chronically delayed mainline scheduling the Department of Transportation cited in its first-ever chronic delay settlement also produces the highest-ranked first-class cabin in J.D. Power's 2025 North American study. For the once-a-year traveler upgrading from coach for a special occasion who wants the highest-ranked domestic premium cabin in 2025, the answer is Mint, with the asterisk that the same airline's coach product appears on the avoid side of this list. By number 2, Alaska Airlines. The 2025 J.D. Power North America Airline Satisfaction Study placed Alaska Airlines third in first and business class and third in premium economy with an overall economy score of 691. Alaska achieves those rankings without operating a traditional international premium product. Passengers in the study specifically cited the airline's legroom and consistency. Alaska is the only major United States carrier to have remained an independent operator through 3 decades of consolidation in American aviation. Northwest into Delta in 2008, Continental into United in 2010, U.S. Airways into American in 2013. Alaska remained Alaska through each. On September 18, 2024, Alaska completed its own $1.9 billion acquisition of Hawaiian Holdings after the Department of Justice concluded its review in August, and the Department of Transportation cleared the transaction in September. Alaska is now the corporate parent of Hawaiian Airlines, and the two carriers continue to operate as separate brands pending Federal Aviation Administration approval of a single operating certificate. For the West, Coast traveler who watched every wave of consolidation reshape American aviation, the airline that became the acquirer rather than the acquired is also the airline whose service standards rank in the top 3 of 2 J.D. Power categories in 2025. By number 1, Hawaiian Airlines. The most distinctive single line in Hawaiian Airlines record reads as follows. Since the airline was founded as Inter-Island Airways on November 11, 1929, 96 years ago, Hawaiian has never recorded a fatal passenger accident. 96 consecutive years of continuous commercial operations, 0 fatal crashes. Airline Ratings places Hawaiian at number 12 globally on its 2025 safety study, the highest position of any United States full-service airline in that ranking. The Department of Transportation's on-time performance data for the first half of 2025 placed Hawaiian first among all reporting United States carriers at 83% on time. Hawaiian's 2025 cancellation rate of 0.84% is the lowest of any major United States carrier. Hawaiian was also AirAdvisor's #1 United States airline overall in 2025. Hawaiian has been a subsidiary of Alaska Air Group since September of 2024, but the carrier still operates on a separate certificate with separate crews, aircraft, and brand identity. The full integration is years away. For the older American planning the long-promised trip to the Hawaiian Islands, the airline founded the same year as the stock market crash, and that has flown passengers continuously since 1929 without ever recording a fatal accident, is the one whose documented certifications stack the highest in this study. 2 things are worth checking before any airline booking goes on a credit card. The first is the Department of Transportation's Air Travel Consumer Report, published monthly at transportation.gov. It is free, and 30 seconds with that report shows the on-time and complaint rankings for the carrier on the screen. Every airline on today's Avoid list appears in formal entries of that report. The second is the carrier's most recent enforcement record. The Department of Transportation publishes consent orders, civil penalties, and lawsuit filings on its briefing room page. The $192 million in penalties we mentioned at the start of this video are all public documents. So are the J.D. Power rankings that placed 3 of those same 4 airlines in the top half of 1 or more 2025 categories. The 2 datasets describe the same airlines. Share this video with someone who has a Frontier or Southwest booking confirmation in their inbox and does not know that the federal agency responsible for consumer protection in air travel has issued formal enforcement actions against the carriers they are about to board. If the hidden boarding pass has been valuable to you, please subscribe and hit that notification bell. And remember, the truth is not always on the boarding pass.